Trevor Jordan from Louisville-based Volcandra that are fucking badass. My opinion is the best one of the best bands in our area, and they're doing great things recently. Actually, Friday, 3 days ago, just came out with The Way of the Ancients, and uh, holy shit, is it good?
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. The reaction to it so far has been like beyond our expectations. So that's awesome.
Hell yeah. Well, good. Like and you and I, we did this before. We talked, and it's, we see the evolution, right? From the first release to the EP to now the full length. There's been this evolution. And I feel like you guys are really growing as a band, and it shows.
Yeah, I feel like that this is the first time we've had a full release like this where we're like, this feels like a real band. We really thought about all the visual elements. We really thought about all the musical elements, and this is Volcandra. Like, there's aspects from previous releases where it's just like recording remotely or things that aren't ideal, but we tried to take the extra time and just do our best when putting this together to really put our best foot forward, since we knew this is our first album with prosthetic, and people hopefully will check it out, but it doesn't mean they'll like it.
I don't know, man. I think that a lot of people are, if they give it the opportunity and listen to it as, I'm old, so I'm going to say as albums should be, front to back, listen to the whole thing. I think they're I'd be hard pressed to find someone that would say, no, that's not a good album, because it's like it is a solid fucking effort, from the opening
Thanks,
with what is
appreciate
that,
that.
birth of the Nephilim.
Yeah, that's we tried to go for a big uh well, we didn't want to go too symphonic or anything, but we had Emily Lowe, which is our audio engineer, Mike Lowe. Uh, his wife actually stepped in and did all the clean singing on that intro and a few spots on the record. And that was kind of a good medium between like, going full symphonic or something that's too over the top for us to like do properly live. We were like, let's just have Emily's voice on that part. And I think it made it feel like almost operatic because she has such a nice, like, beautiful, ooh, like
Yeah.
singing voice. And the way she harmonized on it was really cool too. Like she had no problem just knocking that out. That does a bunch of different takes on it. We liked almost all of them. It's just like which one do we like more,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of what, way back when Def Leppard, I think, said they used to record like 16 or 18 tracks, and they would pick which one out of the many that they want to use for the album. And it's like that's cool for, on that aspect, that they have the time and the money to do all this tracking and take the time and pick. I'm curious. I've never seen them live, so I'm curious how that translates. So with the translating into live, how do you guys do that with Emily's voice? Is it just a backing track?
Um, yeah, so we had her as a backing track, and really, there's a couple like interludes that have some MIDI stuff or some clean guitar, or whatever, and we kind of tried to build the album to include moments of like moments where you get to take a break for us too. So we're trying to build that into the set because a 30-second vocal clip of this clean guitar track and these vocals or whatever is perfect amount of time. Like tune up, boom, play another 20 minutes. So we don't like to take a lot of breaks in our set. So that's something we try to do, just like build a set that feels like the album. Basically, was what we wanted to do. So
Hell yeah. So how did it translate? I know, so Friday with the album release, how did it translate onto stage, and how was the crowd reaction?
I think it was good, and it's not. There's not any parts where we're playing over a sample at all. All the sampling either like leads into us playing or is in between. So as far as live, like, well, I guess there's Emily singing at the beginning. It's just kind of like leading into it, but mostly it's just like interludes in between songs that we try and make sure that we can nail everything live without having samples while we're playing, if that
Good.
makes sense. We're
Absolutely.
we're not about that. It's I think it's a lot different because you can use sampling in your music, obviously, like people do it all the time. But there's a big difference for me between using a sample pad, including samples in your music, or even like including electronic drums or something like that, than the like MacBook on stage thing. I think that's kind of there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a product of the time we're in. And I don't think for our band that's something that we would ever do. I don't think we'll ever play to a click track or to Pro Tools or anything just because it's like we like to feel the music we're playing and it if we get off a little bit, you know, it's rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we that's why we practice as much as we can to hopefully not get off. And you have to have, I mean, a good drummer to be able to do that in this genre of music. But yeah, I mean, we still haven't made the switch to playing with a click or samples live or anything like that, other than just in between songs and little stuff here and there that we put in.
Okay. So like that's I totally see what you're saying, right? I think in current times a lot of people are using a lot of backing tracks and to each their own. Like I'm not gonna knock them for doing doing them, right? Because that would be bullshit. We should all do ourselves, whatever that is. Um and
I think there's genres of music that it caters to too. You know, it just kind of depends.
yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. It really depends. And when you get in, I think when you get into a traditional band, right? Guitar, bass, drums, vocalist, to have you, you really don't need to have all those extra tracks and a computer and all of that shit. And I'm I'm showing my age because I remember when, bands that they just get on stage. There wasn't a computer on stage. You didn't have, backing tracks and all that shit.
Yeah, and I think that is also partially due to the times we're in too,
Right.
because with it being harder to tour and everything, you've gotta people have to switch to these digital setups or use less on the road, and that's kind of catered to like, yeah, you know, you have to use the tools at your disposal to make the kind of music you want to make. For me, I'm not really interested in making like technical death metal or like crazy progressive metal that maybe a click track and backing tracks or something like that is going to be a huge aid for. But for us, we want to be able to just perform it like we perform it at practice.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It limits the amount of issues you're going to have on stage too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, usually, um, a lot of people are pretty used to the digital thing because I'd say it's about 50-50 where it's so cost effective and it makes so much sense not to bring cabs and amps on stage that a lot of death metal bands and stuff aren't doing it. So it's almost like if you want to do it, you're making a point of it because it really doesn't make sense to lug all this shit around all the time. You know, we don't have to. There is
Right.
modern science, but
Yeah. That's the truth. But again, right? Like you get away from what it really is when you start, well shit, I don't need the whole band. I'll just bring a computer and sing. Well, now we're doing karaoke and all these other, crazy things like um
yeah, and it's like more power to you, whatever you do. But I can tell pretty quick if I see a band or a performer or whatever, and it's not for me, or I think they're phoning it in. And usually it doesn't. It doesn't matter if they have samples or whatever. It's just how you use that. How you
Right.
can tell when people are leaning on it too much. It's obvious.
Oh, that's the truth. And you're right. I think you can tell pretty quick seeing a band live if they're just phoning it in. And unfortunately, there are a lot of those, a lot of those out there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think by and large, that's just the matter of like I was saying, touring. There's all these long tour cycles, and you're making a little less money, and these bands are busy, and they don't want to lug around all this stuff, and they want to make it quick, and they might want to tour with less people. So
Yep.
it is hard, and if there's a simpler route to go about it, then it's worth considering. Like we have considered, like if we're gonna, do any fly dates or something, like we're just gonna use a digital guitar rig for myself and Jamie. We're like, the logistics of it is just it's much simpler to do that. If we have the option, though, no, we'll break our backs a little, bring the
Yeah.
shit
Yeah, for
if we
sure.
have the option.
So, uh, obviously you guys have played the new album. Is there a song on there for you like playing live that you're like, man, this is the song that I really enjoy playing live?
Um, Man, I playing all of it live felt really good, but the third track, Nemesis Confession, that song felt a lot better live than I ever thought it would. Because that song started out as a really simple idea by our other guitar player, Jamie, and it was basically like a DSPM song, like just a really depressing, nasty song. And then after we all like worked on it, it actually like had a lot of I felt like it had a lot more energy and like it didn't feel like at all how it started. It was kind of a like it didn't from the if you heard the first version of that song, you would not think that would be a fun live song, but it surprisingly turned out pretty fun like for me. And I don't know, like all of them have been fun to play. I kind of think of them all like, you know, that all of them have moments that are maybe more fun live or a little slower or whatever, more methodical, but most of them have a good live reaction from the one show we played. We're like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
As long as we don't bore you, we just don't want you to look bored at any point. That's all. As
Yeah.
long as
Well,
you were having fun and you're having fun,
well,
you know,
that's the
that's all
whole
that
point of
matters.
that's the whole point of a show, right? Everyone has fun. Obviously I didn't make the show. I really wanted to, but life got to me. Uh, it
There was
looked
there's a bunch of shows happening too.
Yeah, yeah, like all weekend it was fucking packed.
Yeah.
Uh, but it looks like everything that I've seen, like everyone raved about the show and the new album, and it's like I haven't seen anything negative. Everything's been like, oh my God, this is so fucking great. Like, and I love seeing that.
It it's been really cool. People seem to understand what we were going for with it and be receptive to that. Because I've seen a few people say like this album has re-listened. You can re-listen to this album. Like a lot of modern music is not re-listenable,
Sure.
and not to say that ours is the most re-listenable, but we just tried to throw a couple things in where it's like, okay, maybe they'll go back and look for that because they'll remember that it was just slightly different from what they've heard a million times, which is I feel like as a band what we've been trying to do. But of course, like those tendencies just to make another song that sounds like Black Dahlia Murder or make another song that sounds like Dissection, like that's there. That's something that we've done in the past, and we really tried not to on this one. We tried to make it sound like us and be us, genuinely.
Well, and it's hard, right? After so many years of music like before, and then you get to now, there's going to be a riff in there where you're like, "Oh shit, that sounds like off of this, right? Or off of that." Like it's
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. And I can pinpoint it in music I've written where I'm like, even if I wasn't aware of it, I can go back and be like, wow, I totally stole that. Like that was something, and of course, everything is stolen and nothing is
yeah.
original. This genre's been around for 50 years. It's just, um, like I love the band Opeth. So I have a tendency to write a lot of Opethy riffs or whatever, but trying to take that aside and be like, all right, you've learned all these Opeth songs on guitar. You know when you're fucking ripping off Opeth too hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of
Well,
those things. You gotta try and have a little self awareness and just a ballad.
oh, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have that self-awareness. They're like, "No, I didn't. I totally did rip that off." And it's like, "No, you did. That's the first 30 seconds of this song." They're like, "Yeah, no, I don't hear it at all. Like, fuck, I can sing over it to the old lyrics." It's good shit.
Yeah, and it happens, and it happens to us, and it's on the new album. I can pinpoint shit on, I won't, but I can pinpoint shit
Yeah.
on the new album where I'm like, oh, we totally did that. But we tried really hard to just make it sound like us, which is, I think, really hard to do in metal now. And I don't like, there's these bands like Rivers of Nile that totally reinvented themselves. And they were always a good band, but they're, like a technical death metal kind of band. And they've been doing it for years. And then they made a prog album out of nowhere, and like
Yeah.
that was their sound. And all of a sudden, it's like this band was always good, but now they have a sound, and that's what we're looking for. It's just that sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Well,
Volcandra sound,
so
whatever it is.
I feel like you guys
You know?
found it with the Way of the Ancients, though. Like it's, you
We're at
know,
least a little closer, at least a little bit closer.
that's fair. That's fair. It's funny you bring up Rivers. I was just talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and he's a huge Lorna Shore fan. Uh, there's a connection. Like when his son passed away, Lorna Shore's Pain Remains came out, and he was just like, "This is what I've been looking for." We were just talking about Rivers
Right.
and Lorna Shore playing at Trixie's a few years ago. What a madhouse that was.
Now, well, yeah, and now like those bands have grown so much. They're all playing huge venues,
Yeah.
which is funny because I've seen Rivers of Nile since they were, a smaller up and coming band, like playing the same kind of venues we play, and now like they've done all this crazy stuff and all these tours, and a lot of that was just when they came out with that album where they took a little bit of a chance on it, and it's so good. That's such a good record.
Yeah. Yeah. Where Owls Know My Name, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
was I was like, whoa, this is totally different for them. And it wasn't that different. It still sounded like them. It still sounded like all their other music, but it sounded, I think, more like genuinely them. Like they were like, we want to do this, add clean singing. And it's fantastic. Put a
Yeah.
saxophone on there. They
Uh,
wanted to do it. Sounds great. Do it,
yeah.
man. I'm all about it.
Hell yeah. Well, we never get anywhere if everyone stays in that lane, right? Like I don't want to do anything different. I'm just gonna do this. No, try shit.
Yeah, you have to balance that too, because it's like there's definitely bands that like seeking difference for the point of being different. That that doesn't do anything for me either. Like it's just when you could tell people are genuinely making something and coming up with new ideas, and it's not for the sake to like impress you. It just serves the music. It's what they made in the moment, whether it's you know what like people get so nitpicky with this stuff, or like you can't
Yeah.
have clean vocals, which is the classic one where people are somehow still surprised that there's like clean vocals in a death metal song or something. Like You've got Cattle Decapitation and all, Opeth, all these bands that have mixed it or made the switch for years, and still it's like something that people talk about. And it's weird that metal's so guarded to just even a change as simple as that. And that comes from someone that loves the genre, but I love to see new stuff in metal, even if it's just the simplest little thing.
Yeah. Well, so I'm with you, right? Like for a lot of time, for a lot of years, I didn't want clean singing, and I still don't really prefer clean singing. I prefer the gruff vocals. But
That's not what I mean. I just say, why are people surprised
well,
at this point? People still act surprised when a band starts adding that in.
I
How could a band do this to us? Because
well,
they're a band.
a
They can
lot
do
of
what they want.
that's true. But you got to also think, right? Like a lot of those people, like if you've been listening to a band and they've always done this, even if it's just
Yeah.
one album, right? They put out one album and they did this, and now the second album, like God, they changed. Like,
Yeah.
like it's okay to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a hard line to walk because I think if you're playing music, people want you to change and stay the same
Yeah,
at once,
yeah,
at the same time. Like, say Volcandra comes out with a record and people say this is for sure their best, our best album, and it'll probably always be their best album. It's like, let us do what we want. Let us explore with it. Like,
for
I
sure.
want to keep playing music even if it's long into the time after I'm adding saxophones in it.
Well, and look at that, right? Because we look at we can look directly at that statement. They people do want bands to change and evolve and stay the same, right? But as for the band, if you're afraid to evolve, what do you turn into? You
Yeah,
start
it's a rough.
looking, yeah,
Yeah,
it's your AC/DC or whatever other, Motorhead. And I love Motorhead. I fucking love Motorhead. But you knew what you're getting every single album, you know?
but I feel like Motorhead. That's just Motorhead's Motorhead. Like Lemmy would sit and listen to Motorhead.
Oh yeah. Fuck
He likes
yeah.
it. Yeah. So it's like that's the music that came from Lemmy. You know what I mean? And that's all I mean. Like, I think there's a lot of strict guidelines in metal today and like scenes and fads, and it's easy to forget like there's so much shit you can do with music, and being scared to like add one tiny detail that you think is a good thing in your song or whatever because like, oh, that's a something they would do in a brutal death metal song, but we're a black metal band. Just do it, man.
Right. Well,
It's cool.
you abs
People like that.
you
I
do.
think I
I
like that.
I do too. I I love it when a band tries something, and sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna take that, but then you listen to it a couple of times, you're like, oh man, that sounds so fucking good. Like, I'm glad they stepped out of the box and they tried something, like look at I'll bring up Metallica, right? Because that is probably the most well-known band that has
Yeah.
evolved, right? And you hear, man, I really wish it was like old Metallica. Well, which old Metallica do you want? Do you want the thrashy Kill 'Em All, or do you want the orchestrated, Ride, Master, or Justice? Do you want the Black Album? Because they have always evolved through their entire fucking career. Like,
And that's why, I mean, there's lots of Metallica albums I don't like at all. There's Metallica albums I love. There's just as many that I'm not a fan of, but
yeah,
I cannot hate it all because I do appreciate that they've always evolved. And there's always been things I liked, like from even like load reload era, like it's I think it's a healthy thing to do to change and grow as a band, but people were mad at Metallica over it. I guess they'll always be, oh my gosh, they cut their hair.
Yeah.
We're not saying we'd ever cut our hair, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
That would be too extreme. That would be
yeah.
what would we do?
Now you're out. You guys can't be Volcandra anymore. Short hair. Get the fuck out of here.
Our old bass player Dyer had short hair, and we fucked with him because he left just because he didn't really want to tour or anything like that. And we were like, well, finally we can find someone that fucking has long hair, you know? Because he was always the dude with the short hair, big and tall, short hair. We're all just the long hair. It's just headbanging. It's just
hell, hell
like you
yeah.
gotta grow some hair, man.
Right. Get to it. I used to have long hair and then I got old and now I've got a big bald spot right here. You can't see it, but
Oh yeah, that's one of those things where I'm like, I question like if I start balding, like what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna try and like rock the skullet like I see some of these dudes doing, and it works, it's fine.
mhm.
Um, or will I just admit it and just shave it all? I don't know. I might just rock this. I might just do the skullet.
You should do the
I might
skullet.
just rock a skullet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
we'll
fit.
see. We'll see. I guess this depends on when this happens. You know, I feel like there comes a point where I will just say fuck it, it's Gullet from here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But we'll have to see. My favorite skullet
I
is Don Slater from Battlecross.
Yeah, I forgot he had a skullet.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because you know the band Blood Incantation. I
Oh
think
yeah.
two of the dudes in Blood Incantation have skullets, and then the same thing with the band Phobophilic. They have one or two members, and they took a picture together, and people just fuck yeah. So it's like, all right. Now I feel that, yeah, I feel better. Like people
Yeah.
can support this.
Yeah. When we were watching Blood Incantation when they were here with Mayhem and Cannibal Corpse and Gore Guts, my buddy looks at me and
Oh my,
goes,
yeah.
he goes, this is not a skullet. He goes, I didn't know Gallagher played fucking heavy metal. I'm like, shut up, dude.
Man, that was a good show. Yeah, we've had some good shows in Louisville lately. Like I guess within the last year or so, there's been like some great bills here, man. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm pretty stoked. And like go back to last Friday when we had the CD release, like great show. And there was another show in town that I know was well attended the same night, and it's like both shows were good. There was a metal show in Indy. I know there's 100 people at that. It's like, dude, or at
Yeah.
least that's. I heard that all the shows were good. I was like, I love it, man. Especially when you're, in a in these little cities and you're all trying to support each other and share dates and make it work. And like, it kind of sucks when you're conflicting, but it's awesome that like between everything and all the shows going on this weekend, like everyone showed out and fucking fantastic. I
Hell
loved it. It
yeah.
was great. Great,
Well,
great scene.
I think for Louisville, right? We have a really solid community here, and when bands are playing, everyone's trying to get out. They're trying to support their band. There's always, you know, that and there's always a fucking show to go support. Like Jesus.
Oh, absolutely. That it was a little. There was like a month or so this winter where I was like, "Where are all the bands?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's cold. It's cold.
Yeah.
Everyone's at home." But
Yeah. Everyone's
yeah,
like,
the
yeah.
last month or so, it's been show after show. I don't go to shows as often as I should, but I've been just going to the shows the last couple of weekends. I mean, it's been great.
Yeah. Well, and now with the weather getting nice, it's look, we're going to see a lot more shows and a lot more activity. Uh, what's your favorite venue around Louisville to play?
To play, um, Portal's nice to play. Portal's stage is really nice to play. I mean, playing Magbar is just it had been so long since we played Magbar. It was really really nice to play at Magbar because it had been almost 2 years or a year and a half or something like that. It's like felt great to play there. I mean, Z Bar is awesome. I we've actually never played headliners. We were supposed to with Panopticon, but
Oh,
it didn't happen because COVID. It was like early March or April or something. But we talked about trying to do the CD release at headliners, but it just felt you know more appropriate to do it at Mag, and we're like, well, we'll just back out Mag and just do it like the last CD or the first CD release we had, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I'd have to
yeah.
say Mag is it remains as a staple in the Louisville metal community.
I feel like they're doing a lot more a lot more shows. Obviously, they got rid of the pool tables and all that shit in the back, and it's it's nice to see the stage, and has really turned into like a venue for us and not just a dive bar.
Yeah, and like shoot, they've had like Midnight, Weed Eater, a couple pretty decent bills, like bigger mid-size little billings. So it's like, hell yeah, man. Like this has been the neighborhood dive forever, but it's cool that they're like booking all these different out of town acts and shit. Because I know they started doing a lot of that before COVID, but then after COVID, it feels like it took a couple years for things to level out, where everyone's like, these are the venues that are still open, or these are the venues where you want to go book that are still open. Because
Yeah.
like after COVID, it's like the whole venue landscape kind of changed for people. I think so. Now you see, I think a lot more bands choosing going to Mag because as far as in local, like you could definitely have a great show every time at Mag. Your
Hell
band
yeah.
like Midnight or Weed Eater, yeah,
Yeah, there's always and there's almost always a good fucking show going on at Mag Bar, I feel like
yeah. There's been a bunch lately. It's like that Black Sabbath tribute, Horse Burner, Crop,
yeah.
our show. Uh, Man, there's another show there in the last couple of weeks. I don't even remember, man. I love to see it. I love to see people playing shows and it being healthy.
Yeah, me too. It's I've seen some bands come through that I thought would draw bigger crowds, and like there's like 7 people there. Like, oh fuck. Come on, really?
I've been in that band where you're like, we're from here.
Right.
Where's all the people?
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened in Louisville. I mean, Louisville can be hit or miss, but I think there's certain venues and certain people that are making it happen and making it work. And a lot of the problem is just like promotion and getting the word out and getting good locals on these shows. That's what you need to do to be a good promoter to have a good show, because you can have a good show for just about any touring band if you have those things.
Yeah.
Most nights.
Yeah. And
That's why like Taproom does so well too, having the Metal Mondays built in crowd. Like people love to come play that if you're a band.
hell yeah, they do. And it yeah, and you're right. It's an already set crowd, you know. Like shit, all I gotta do is
Yeah, and they're
fucking
there to see metal.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I really like, Portal, I think was a fantastic addition to our fucking community. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because he can have those like mid-sized to bigger bands, like even the bands that like are like on tour with a band that's playing louder than life. Like when you had Converge, like you wouldn't have had that in Louisville. I feel like a couple of years ago, those bands wouldn't have had anywhere to really book their show.
no, I think you're absolutely right. Because that's what is that, 300 or 400 people there at Portal. Um,
Yeah, probably too small for like headliners or Mercury Ballroom,
yeah,
but like for Portal, perfect. Like
yeah,
Converge on a Wednesday, fine. Because I mean, I think everywhere needs more venues like that. Like Portal's really cool that they have the extra workspace too, and like all the art and all the other stuff that keeps that whole area working and like making money for everyone, which is
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic space, and so far, like they've had just fucking killer shows, and the staff has been really fucking cool. which is, sometimes in those venues, right? Like you toured, sometimes it's hard to have like cool staff, or it's hard to find cool staff.
Yeah, I think with where we're at and a lot of bands are at, it's like so hit or miss. It could be any way. And also, I feel like sometimes it depends on the part of the country. Like, um, different parts of the country might be more warm or kind to you. Or like, if you're playing a show in Brooklyn, they're very much like you show up, there's 30 different metal bands in their bands somewhere in fucking New York. I mean, no one cares that you're there. It's just like, here's the house drum kit set up there, like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So it's like whereas somewhere you might get warm welcome. We might have a green room with our name on the door or something, and
Right.
whoa, oh my gosh. And we're
Here's
grateful. Like that
Yeah,
stuff makes it possible.
for sure. Yeah, it's great. So what's tour plans for the band this year with the Way of the Ancients? What's the plan?
Um, when's this episode coming out? Like within the
Uh
next week or so?
we're probably 10 to 14 days out.
Okay. So that's probably about perfect. Well, we're booking a tour that's gonna be the East Coast, and we're gonna play a couple dates in Canada and then come back to the Midwest, and that's gonna be in late April, but that should be announced around the time this is coming out.
Okay.
But I
Well,
won't give any more details than that. But that's what we were gonna do. We got a flyer and stuff we were working on. So
hold on. I want to hear, and I will fix it to not come out until after you guys announce. How's that?
gotcha. That works. That works. Yeah. Well, it just depends on, I guess, how long it takes us to get all the final stuff over. But we got venues and dates and another band we're going out with, so
Cool. Who are you going out with?
it should be a good time, man. This band called Macabre from Wisconsin. It's also on Prosthetic Records. They're just super sick, like straight death metal, like modern death metal, solid.
Hell yeah.
So should be fun. The shows we played in Canada last year were great. So we're like, well, let's see if they want us back, and I guess they did. So looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. I bet they are too. And I feel like, if you guys had the opportunity to get out and really like hammer it for a couple of months, I feel like you guys would see a huge, huge influx of fanfare.
That's what we wanted. That's what we're trying to do right now. With we It just turned into a situation where this spring we had hoped to book more shows and do more, and we had some plans that kind of didn't work out, or for this reason or that reason. But this spring's just so busy. Everyone's booking. There's like holds on all these venues. So really, we couldn't get this like album release tour, or the we just wanted to do a little headlining tour. We couldn't get that booked till late May or late April into May. So just how it works out, but it'll still be a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we found Macabre wanted to do it, and they were super stoked about it, and it's gonna be fun to be on the road with those dudes. So should be a fun little short tour. I think we're gonna do like 8 or 9 shows, and then after that, that's we're still working on it, but we plan on staying busy, and we've got some offers and stuff we're considering.
Hell yeah. Have you guys looked at you guys well, I guess the first question is, are you guys booking your own tours?
No, so the person that's booking us is Michelle, who books over at Continental Touring.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
And we've been booking through her for, I guess, like about a year or just over a year. So
And
she was booking us the last 3 tours we did. Yeah.
okay.
So
You feel like that's a good relationship. It's going really well for you.
it's like the thing with band like us is that we have to take what we're given and stuff, and we have to work our way up. So it's a matter of we were these shows we've been trying to book like for the last couple months. It's just a matter of the venues like not panning out, and it's like, oh, like you can blame the agent or this or that. It's just how it goes, man. So
Oh,
you gotta we have to like be realistic with ourselves. Like, okay, this is what this package we're putting together is worth and stuff. But sometimes it can be frustrating, like when that amount isn't enough or whatever.
yeah.
But no, it's been good to like work with an agency and learn the ropes and how that works and the different avenues that we can get submitted for things and stuff. But ultimately, most of the stuff that we've been offered has been just organic, like just bands that want to take us out on the road and stuff.
Hell yeah.
But it's good to have someone that can help us manage all that and like consider these offers, and that's been fantastic because we all have jobs and lives and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, I guess I should say, when I asked that question, I was more concerned with how you feel she's treating you guys and guiding you through all of that, right? Because I know getting onto larger tours in some of those places it can be a challenge for whoever.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, at this point we're like we'll take whatever and consider whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're taking anything into consideration, but we also want to stay busy wherever we can
Hmm.
because we're used to like booking our own shows. You know, we're used to like if we want to book a tour, we'll book it. That's what we've done. But it is a lot of work and something that we're not going to try and say we're better at than, of course, someone that does that for a living. But of course, we want to try and book these headliner shows, and that's what's been the most difficult through working with a booking agent. You know, is like, okay, this is our shows. We know there's not much money in it for you,
Right.
but we want to play, whether we're opening for Cannibal Corpse or playing on our own because we're a band and that's what we do. You
For
know,
sure.
and
Yeah.
that's hard for them too because like there's a million smaller bands that are trying to book stuff, and I really think what was helpful in like booking, what's helpful in booking stuff is just coming out with content, releasing music. Like it just is what it is. You gotta take what you can get, and like if you can only book your tour a month later or whatever, then that's what you do, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the, toughest thing for I'll say a young band. I mean, you guys are pretty young. What are you, six? The band is about 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that.
Yeah, started in 2019 was our first show.
Okay.
That's five five
Yeah.
and some change. But a couple of the members have been in this band called Dep Scufa that played around Louisville for 2 or 3 years prior to that. So I guess you could say I've been playing with some of the dudes for like 7 years, seven,
Okay.
8 years.
Yeah. So I I think pretty much everyone came from other bands, right?
Yeah, Dave was playing in Cryptic Hymn, and when we asked him, we actually were like, "Do you want to do vocals and guitar?" Because he plays vocals and guitar in Cryptic Hymn, and he was like, "No, no, I just want to do vocals because I want the chance to really like explore what I can do vocally and like be a front man and stuff." Because being in Cryptic Hymn, like doing the crazy stuff he does on guitar. If you haven't listened to Cryptic Hymn, check it out.
Oh,
Fantastic,
yeah. No, I
wonderful
dig
local
Cryptic Hymn.
Louisville band.
Yeah.
Um, but he was just like, I can't do that much vocally because of how much I'm doing on guitar compared to what I know I'm capable of. So yeah, and Mike was also in Dep Scupa with me. He came from this band called Little Did We Know before that, actually. He left that band couple of years after we started doing Dep Scufa, but he was in that band for years as well. And then Travis, our most recent addition to the band, he was in Redivider
Okay.
up until recently. So yeah, and then Jamie actually was the person that I replaced in Dep Scufa initially, which is funny because he left that band. I replaced him. A few years later, we left that band and we asked him to join our band.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's funny
he's
how all that
fantastic though.
works.
It was so easy. Yeah, it was so easy. Like once we found like the group of dudes, like boom, let's go.
Hell yeah.
No problems. Like yeah.
That's cool. I was talking with Reagan Daly and noticed I obviously, right, being watching the community grow, I feel like we've got a lot of eyes on Louisville right now. We've had uh holy shit, I just totally brain farted. Knocked Loose, right? They're like blowing up, doing big
Oh
things.
yeah, legends. Yeah.
Then we've got Gates to Hell, I think just signed to Nuclear Blast, maybe. You
Yeah. Was it Nuclear Blast? Yeah, or Napalm? Was it Napalm?
Napalm,
I
maybe.
can't remember. I just
Yeah,
remember that was awesome. Yeah,
yeah. It's one of
good
those.
for
And
them. That's
I was
and
just
they've
like,
been doing it for years, only a couple years, but they've grown such a big community around
yeah,
like uh the LBD and like all that. It's really cool to see like that in Louisville. You know?
right. Well, and then, you guys with prosthetic, like we have such, we have a lot of fucking great bands here and all of this going out, all of the people seeing this are going, man, I wonder what other bands are coming around Louisville. And you know, the one that I'm seeing play a lot right now is Vile. I feel like they play 2 or 3 shows a week almost.
Yeah, I actually have not seen them yet. I've not seen that band, but I've seen them on lots of flyers. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Me too. I just saw like 2 show announcements today. I'm like, holy shit. Like you guys are
Playing,
just,
playing, playing. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's what we did. Like the first 6 months of the band, when the band was brand new, we were like, all right, let's make a T-shirt and just play around the region. We were playing like all every weekend, a couple shows. But it after a certain point, like playing every weekend gets kind of it's harder and it's easier than like touring, like doing a longer leg. So we were like, man, once we tried doing a week, we were like, yeah, this is how we like to do it. Because I don't know, like playing shows around the region after about 6 months, we're like, man, we're burnt out as hell.
Yeah.
Time to
Yeah.
move on to something else, man. Because
Yeah.
it's but that was before we had a record. Because we are like, well, we can't go on tour without a record, so we need that first, obviously. But
Yeah.
we'll just
Well,
play a million shows, 50, 60 shows in the 2 hour region.
and yeah, with 2 hour drive there and back, and you're like, okay, we got the same 10 songs. We'll play it every show forever. Let's just do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so what bands do you see in the, out at Louisville or just Kentucky as a whole that right now you're like, man, this band is really fucking good.
Trying to think like out of Louisville or just Kentucky. Like if I was to think my absolute favorites. I mean, I love She and played. I used to play in a band called Blind Scryer from here in Louisville, and we played with She so many times because like they've got like that Weed Eater, dirty stoner doom thing down like perfect, like world class, great. That's a great Louisville like metal band. And then shoot, yeah, Blind Scryer, Stagecoach Inferno.
Mhm.
I mean, amazing power metal band from here in Louisville. Dude, I mean, some of all these people are some of my best friends, so it's like I could say all these people all day. I guess,
Right.
yeah. I mean, Bad Wires. There's so many great bands in Louisville, from like metal to rock. Like, um, dude, there's this band called Forest and the Photons from Louisville that's like a piano rock, like progressive band.
Okay.
It's like amazing, world class band. I don't know. I could go on. There's so many good bands everywhere, really, if you just look.
Oh, for sure. Yep. I'm more looking for just bands that you're like would want to hit on. Um, Speaking of Blind
Oh,
Scryer,
oh,
are you still playing with Blind Scryer?
no, I left. I guess it was right about a year ago,
Okay.
and I haven't met their new. I don't think I've met their new guitar player yet, but yeah, I think the guy in the band now is like much more fitting for the band. And once Volcandra started getting busy, and we had all this stuff and coming up on down the road, I was like, man, I'm just gonna focus on this because like Volcandra's the band I've always wanted to do, and that's I think how all of us feel for the most. Like we feel that way, so we're all pretty motivated by that. This is the kind of music we want to make, and this is what we want to do, and we feel good about it. So.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, what else what else do you guys have going on? I think have you guys released the second video, right?
Yeah, we released a video for Fouled Sanctity and Seven Tombs off the new record. We just released the Seven Tombs video last Friday when our record came out, so that one's brand new. Um, yeah. Aside from that, I mean, we are gonna work on some other videos for this record. I think it's something we wanted to do another one or two more. Don't really know what those will be, but yeah. Aside from that, just keep an eye out for us on the road and on social media, and
Hell yeah.
yeah, man,
Hell
keep it heavy
yeah.
metal, man.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's do this. Um,
Oh yeah, fucking Slayer.
fuck. Oh, dude. What do you think about that? Them getting back together.
Oh, okay. So I'm not upset by it. I love Slayer. I love going to see Slayer. I have no problem with Slayer, and I understand it. The only thing is, I have been to see them 3 times where they have told me that it was for sure the last time I would see them. So it's just like, come on, y'all, stop
Yeah.
saying this. Like, what? Like, I don't think they're making more money because they say it. I just like just say, hey, we might play more shows, we might not. Why are you guys you play a whole tour and then you're like, we'll never play another show again. And then you play another tour and you're like, we'll never play another show again. Like,
Well, you know,
what are you doing?
I am also I'm not mad. I love Slayer. I've got lots and lots of
Yeah.
memories. If you act like I totally nerded out on the last tour that was 8 legs over like 3 fucking years. Um, but they were saying like they're retiring from touring, right? And they said that specifically. And I think they said that because they were going to leave the door open for these one-off shows.
That's also a thing where it's like, do people on the internet know what they actually said? Because I didn't know they said that. Like,
Yep.
I always just thought they're like, we're not touring anymore on the last. Because I know that Tom Araya has said that, like that he doesn't have interest in playing shows,
Yep.
but I guess he has interest in playing shows again.
Well,
And
you
it's one
know,
of those things. I'm glad he's playing. I want to see it.
yeah, me too. Like, and we're talking you when they do this for damn near 40 years, how do you just say, "Yep, that's it, we're done." Like you
Well, it's the same kind of thing like with like Ozzy in the '90s, where Sharon was like trying to keep him home. And he was just fucking like went crazy. It's like
Yeah.
Can't keep him home. I mean,
Right. No, but
what are you doing?
I really think Tom was at that point. I mean, he was at that point. He probably still is, where he's like, I don't want to tour. Like, playing a show here and there is probably not the worst thing in the world. But like his wife, Sandra, I guess came out and said she's harassed him for the last year. Like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And I wonder, like, is
Yeah,
is she so used to him being on the road that he's home and she's like, you got to fucking go, dude. Get out of here. Like,
probably, probably, because I mean, I can't imagine, like, if the dynamic of your marriage is you knew marrying him, who this dude is,
yeah.
like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
in Slayer. You assume he'll always be in Slayer, right? I
Right.
mean,
Well, yeah. I think they actually met at a Slayer show.
really, well, that's like, yeah. I mean, it would be so weird to like go from that lifestyle to like suddenly just nothing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some people they do that and they're like, wow, I feel so much better. Like I'm so much healthier not being on the road. And that makes perfect sense to me. But I think some people, they go crazy pretty quick, like, man, I
For
gotta keep
sure.
playing shows, keep performing.
Well, it's you totally changed your livelihood, your entire life is like whoop off, taking a left turn somewhere. So, all right. Um, I gotta think. There was one question I wanted to ask you, and oh, I'm looking for a crazy tour story that you have, or just a crazy like story of a show where you're like, man, I'll never forget this happened.
So last August, we were on tour with uh, Tomarum from Atlanta, and we were in Toronto, and our van wouldn't start in the morning. We just parked outside of the venue, and the other band left. So our van wouldn't start. We're in a different country, and we were like, "All right, well, let's see what's wrong." Serpentine belts fucked. The AC compressor seized up. Like it was a mess. So uh, got it towed, got it to someone who could fix it up the street. But then we were just chilling there with our trailer in Toronto and had to walk like a mile up the street just to like find a hotel and find somewhere to crash. But when we got to the and defeated sanity and stabbing were playing across the street. We're
Hell yeah.
like, all right, well, our shit's broke down in Toronto, so went there. I mean, we had a really great time, and it was a great show. It's like one of those weird things where it was just an exhausting, fucking like unpleasant kind of day where we're walking back and forth trying to figure out our van, trying to make sure our trailer with all our gear is safe. And then we're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go fucking party at this death metal show. And it ended up being like really good and fun memory.
Hell yeah. Making the
So there's
best out of a
you
shit
got to find the
situation
silver linings. Yeah.
for sure. That's fucking awesome. That is so fucking awesome. All right, River, I'm going to say thank you. I greatly appreciate you hanging out and chatting with me tonight. Um, I'm going to go and do my thing and get prepared for my next thing. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys on the road. Um, any more shows coming locally over the next like month and a half ish?
Uh, Probably not, because
Okay.
Travis is about to go do some stuff with the Teary Rots, and then we're gonna start our tour in the end of April. So I would love to say we could do some more shows, but the tour that we're doing in April is going to go through Cincy, um, and I'm not for sure if we're doing a Louisville show, but it's definitely gonna be in Cincy.
Okay. You guys, I'll ask you off camera. Um, So, all right. Like I'm like,
Say what?
I don't know. I'm disconnecting right now.
Oh, you're fine, dude. You got like 3 interviews to go too, or two?
Two. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be fun.
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah, man.
for sure. So again, Right River, I greatly appreciate you coming and hanging out tonight. I think the new album, The Way of the Ancients, for all you fuckers, is a fantastic album. I hope that it sells well beyond your expectations, and I wish you and the band all the success in the world.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. And, even if it's just streaming it or just checking us out on YouTube or whatever, really appreciate it, man.
Hell yeah. All right, dude. Have yourself a great night.
Later. You
Later.
too.
Thanks.